right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those cheap boxes, those discount bins, your dollar boxes at your LCS, at the flea market, half-price books, garage sales, wherever you're buying your cheap comics. These are some things you might still be able to dig out of those boxes based off of some of the recent news, rumors, announcements, things going on in the actual comics, if you actually bother to read them, and things going on the TV shows and other content that we have related to our beloved hobby. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Comment whatever you want. Give me criticisms if you want. Comments do help the algorithm and get this out to more people. So make sure you comment, make sure you like, you subscribe if you haven't already, so you get alerted to all the new things that are hitting. But basically every day I got new stuff dropping. And if you haven't tried Whatnot out before, now's your chance to sign up for the first time and get yourself a free $15, which will not only help the channel, but give yourself a free $15 to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. No strings attached. You don't have to go buy from me or anybody that I know or anything like that. Spend it on whatever you want. It's for you. And if you do sign up and give it a try, please let me know what you bought, because I'd be curious to see what you got. And with that all said, if you want to see the books I got for you this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. Alrighty then, where are we going to start off? Today, we are going to start off with the news. Now, in the news, we got a few rumors. Not a lot of confirmed stuff. One confirmed story, but the other two are rumors. But rumors can be fun, and rumors can still give us stuff to try to get ahead of the curve and dig out of boxes now before things actually get finalized and say yes for certain. And besides, I don't know, this should be fun. This is nothing that I'm telling you to go and spend tons of money on and invest a bunch of your cash in. These are cheap books that I think you can go and grab for cheap. And if it pans out, it does. If it doesn't, you're not into it for a lot. Just let's have some fun. This hobby should be fun after all. So with that, our first story is related to something I've been begging for the past few years from Marvel. I still believe that Captain Britain and the MI-13 would make an excellent Disney Plus series. If not a movie, but I think a series would be better. You know, that's my preference. That said, Marvel Studios is rumored to be developing a live-action Captain Britain TV series for Disney Plus. Will it be with the MI-13 or just him alone? Will it be more like Excalibur? I don't know. I'm hoping for the MI-13 stuff. I thought that was a fun run, but I'll take whatever I can get. I've even seen some fun mock-ups of Henry Cavill dressed up as Captain Britain, which would also not be a bad idea as far as casting goes, in my humble opinion as well. But speaking of the man, so Captain Britain, here we go. First appearance, yeah, you're probably not getting this in a dollar bin. If you do, God bless you. You're lucky, go buy a lottery ticket, following this find. But if you just want to know, just for the purposes of information, yes, in October 1976, this UK Marvel comic, so this is from overseas, was his first appearance. And you also want to make sure you get that free Captain Britain mask inside. Otherwise, you're going to lose a little on the resale if you don't have the mask. Or if you're just buying it for yourself, you're missing out if you don't get the mask with it. So you just want to make sure you get that inside. This book is pretty expensive, though, these days. So you're probably not going to find a UK book buried in a US comic box, here. Just saying. It's just the chances are slim. You can look for it, but that's not what we're talking about. Your better options are the first U.S. appearance of Captain Britain, which, yes, first appearance was in Marvel Team Up number 65. And we got Captain Britain coming on over here with that. Right there on the cover, no disputes there. Again, this is U.S. first appearance, so it's not truly a first, but it may be the best that you can get. Always fun. I've found these before. They are out there. You might have to do some digging. They've gone up a little bit over, the past few years, but not a ton. This is still pretty affordable. As you can see, copies can still sell for as cheap as $6.50 and up to like $15-20 bucks. So again, it's not super duper expensive. It may be in higher grades. obviously, because you're going to get a premium there, but you could find yourself some copies that aren't too expensive. Even if you go shopping right now, there's still copies for 10 to 15 bucks with some auctions. Granted, auctions are going to be taking a chance where it might end. Other than that, you might have to spend 30 bucks outright for like a VF Plus or a still not top end copy, but a nice copy. The high end, like near mint pluses, are probably going to be getting you well over 50. You're probably going to be shooting more towards the $60 to $80 kind of range on one of those. But I'm not talking about going and digging out these super high grade books out of dollar bins. That's not what the purpose of this video series is for. It's about you finding little treasures like this, if you can find it. Now, if you can't find this one, well, maybe you can find its reprint, because its reprint still does all right. And that is Marvel Tales 201. Basically the same cover. And you got a little Spider-Ham action there on the side, too. Not too bad. But Marvel Tales 201. Marvel Tales reprints a ton of Spidey stories. So this is a cheap way to get some of these books. And they still have some collectability. As you can see here, the Marvel Tales still does all right, even though it came out, well after the other book. I think it was a year after, right? But anyway, 12, $8, $13, best offer on like 30. That's still kind of the same pricing as the Marvel team up. Asking prices, yes, they're cheap copies down on 350, 360, but they might be a little bit more on the beat up kind of side of things. Then you might have a VF copies for like $14. So again, not too bad. You're not going to get rich if you find one of these either. So don't go expecting I found gold, but it's still a fun book that you might be able to dig out of a box. With that said, there is yet another reprint version you can go and look for, and that one came with the comic packs with the action figures. So in September 2011 here, you can see here that Marvel Team Up reprint is in the back of this, and you get the action figures with a Captain Britain and a Spider-Man. It's pretty fun if you can get those all together in the pack. A lot of times you'll find the comics separated and just buried in cheap boxes because, they're a little thinner. They can get beat up pretty easily. And they generally have the not for resale on the front of them. So they don't find their ways up on the wall usually. But not for resale copy here, you can dig those out of those cheap boxes sometimes. And that black border is going to be unforgiving on those spine ticks. And again, like I said, the paper is very, very flimsy. But, if you could find one, well, it's a fun little book. Granted, I didn't find any sold recently for this actual version, the not for resale toy version, but there are a couple listed, and it's like $5 to $10. Again, not gonna get rich, but that's kind of the going rate for it. And those are some different versions of the first appearance of Captain Britain that you might be able to find. But again, my pick and my favorite that I hope that they go with if they move forward with this, again, is the Captain Britain MI13 series. I've talked about this a number of times on this show. I'm a big fan of it. Even just give it for a read. It's even topical now because there's a lot of the vampire stuff tying in. You got Blade, the Black Knight, Captain Britain. It's a fun Pete Wisdom. It's a fun little series. There's issue 1 for you, and then there's a few randoms just to give you a sense of the series. It went 15 issues, so here's issue 5, 10, and 15. Again, just to give you a sense of some of the covers. And again, like I said, a lot of vampire stuff going through a big bulk of this arc, but still, it was a good read. With that, you can see copies of these books. They can sell all over the place with individual ones going for as cheap as like $2.50. You might get close to $10 on that number 1, and number 1 has a couple of printings as well. Then you can see somebody bought a lot. It wasn't the whole run, but a partial run for $25. So sometimes you can see chunks of the series sold in that manner and get yourself a deal that way. Or if you find them all, you might be able to resell it and see how the entire 15 set series could sell for $50. That's what somebody has it listed for. Issue 1, somebody's looking for $12. And then again, random issue number 12, somebody's looking for $2. Prices are all over the place for it. But the point being, go dig them out of the cheap boxes for yourself and give yourself something to fun, not only to read, but you never know. If this hits, these will probably hit too. So with that said, what's our next news story? Our next news story is some more rumors with Marvel possibly eyeing to do Midnight Suns. So they got a horror director in mind. I think he did the Don't Speak or whatever it's like. I don't remember. Point being, Midnight Suns. They might be doing a Midnight Suns movie series or whatever of some kind. And yeah, could be cool, right? This has been spec'd on long before. Yes, a lot of people will point towards Ghost Rider 28. That's the Rise of the Midnight Sun storyline. It's the first part of it. It's part 1 of 6. It's polybagged. It comes with a poster, and the connecting posters make some huge image, etc. This came out in August of 1992. This is what it would look like loose. And as I said, it was a polybag book. You might still find them polybagged out there, and it tells you about the posters and the other issues that you need to get. Point being, just know what you're buying. Yes, some people might reference this as the first appearance of the Midnight Suns, but realistically, it's not really. They just show the characters. They're not really together, and it's like in a vision, and they're not even called like that yet. So inside, there's a gatefold, folds out. Yes, you see they're not even on the same pages. Like you can see, they're stretched out across multiple pages too, because it folds out. But this is what we're talking about. This is all you get. You get Lilith talking about this image, this prophecy, I guess, of sorts, of these 9 that they would bring together like it's the Fellowship of the Ring. But that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the first appearance of the Midnight Suns in this issue 28. I mean, I would probably get it just for Lilith. Again, this book has been spec'd on before, so it's been up and down. It's hit highs of like $30 within the last couple of years, but right now, it's not that expensive. Polybagged or not, $3.25 to $10 copies have sold for. So $10 and under. And then copies available, same thing, $7, $8.50, $10.99. Again, and all those are polybags still. There's a lot of them. They printed a lot of these. So I'm not surprised by that. And with no current heat on this or real strong rumors, it's just a rumor. So, it's not driving too many, sales just yet, but you never know. If it ever comes back around, always keep an eye out for this book in the boxes. Now, few issues later, in September of 1992, we're still doing the Rise of the Midnight Sun storyline with Ghost Rider number 31. This is probably your better pick for that first appearance of the group, since they actually appear in the story together. By now, you can see here's the polybag version again. It shows you all the books that you'd want to get all the connecting posters, and throughout the story, the team kind of comes together to fight the big bad, etc. So here they are all together at that moment. Blah blah blah. There we go. They're your Midnight Suns all together inside this issue. Granted, they're still not really going by that name just yet, but you get the point. Point being, this is another book. It's had its day in the sun, but right now, $2 a copy sold for, and then $9 to $12. Asking prices, $5, $6.71, $14. Still kind of that same range as 28. You could find them polybags still. Again, printed plenty still out there, and plenty still out there in those bags that people haven't opened yet. Now, if you're not too concerned about the first appearance, but you want to get some more of that Midnight Suns action in, well, here's an oddball thing you might be able to go and find elsewhere. Granted, this is magazine size, so it's not going to be in your normal comic box, most likely, and if it is, it's going to be all jacked up and bent up because it won't actually fit. But if you want to check a magazine box or a stack, like one of those milk crates that might be under the tables at your LCS, go dig in there. Maybe you can find one of these Ghost Rider and the Midnight Suns magazines. Came out in November of 1993. So in here, you can see how we're bringing Doctor Strange into the fold, because he wasn't really a part of that team, but I would assume any actual series in the MCU would probably tie in with Strange and that kind of stuff, because why would they leave him out, But with that said, this magazine, it's really kind of like a big comic book, but we'll call it a magazine. It's still cheap, $2.50 to $4. You can find copies selling for online. It's not expensive. You might look for copies listed at $5 to $12. You're not going to get rich, like I said, but it's a fun little thing that you may be able to find. That's all. And with that, the only Midnight Sun series we actually got was this anthology, which was the Unlimited series. Now, you remember X-Men Unlimited and Spider-Man Unlimited. It's kind of like an anthology book. It was a little pricey, because it was thick and it told multiple stories. But Midnight Suns had a run in this Unlimited series. So Midnight Suns Unlimited is really your only ongoing for this group, sort of. But with that, issue 1, it only ran for 9. Only 9 issues here. I think I covered the 9th issue on Hidden Gems, one of those last to know, because it can sometimes sell for some money and other times sell for nothing. It's one of those oddball things. But here's a few covers just for you to check out. I think it's 3, 6, and 9. Just for you to give a sense of what what you're looking at here. But with that said, these books, they're not that expensive. Copies can sell for $5, $7, up to 50. Look, 15.50 for that final issue. That's probably your highest priced one there. Meanwhile, asking prices are in that $5 to kind of like $10 range. And then look, there's 1 through 8 that somebody's selling as a lot for $35. Not too bad. Really, as a lot. I don't know. But again, these are things you just go dig out of those cheap boxes if you're interested. And I think I talked about this one before on Dollar Bin Digging, but again, doesn't hurt to go back over it in case, we got new viewers here who didn't see some of the older stuff. I mean, this is episode 269 after all, so I've been doing this quite a while. So I'm bound to talk about some books again. But the book I'm going to repeat now is The Hash Can, because this is, again, one of those things you can find kind of tucked in those cheap boxes, just down in there because it's too small to see and it just gets stuck between books. Might even be inside a regular book. But this ash can for Midnight Suns cost 75 cents when it came out. But, who knows? You might find it. It's from 1994. Here's one that sold this ash can edition for $9. Asking prices, well, $7 to $10. Again, it's not a pricey thing, but it's the kind of fun little nugget you might be able to dig out of a dollar box. Is so you spend $1, get yourself 10. It's not terrible. It's kind of fun, right? With that said, those are our rumors. Let's get to the last news story, which is kind of an announcement of a new series that we're getting, which is going to be a new version of X Factor. Yes, we know we're getting all sorts of new mutant titles with new X-Men here, there, 3 new X-Men teams with, different squads. Wolverine's getting a new #1, and why not a new X Factor as well, which will still be that government kind of sponsored mutant team. Now, this time out, the roster for this squad is going to be led by Havoc and Angel, but then there's some interesting characters mixed in too with Pyro there in the background. We got Feral and Frenzy, and we'll see who else kind of joins them along the way. I know it was just like 2 or 3 episodes ago we talked about Frenzy, but she's come back around. I was just talking about her the last time because she was in a comic, and I was like, hey, look, Frenzy, it's a cheap first. Well, here, she's still getting a role. She still has a role going forward with the greater X universe. So it's a character that not just ignore because it's just like, well, it's just a crappy, 80s, 90s mutant, but she's getting traction. Look, she's front and center on a pretty small squad of mutants headlining X Factor. So, doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt to go know her first and to go and find her for cheap. But once again, just a reminder, Frenzy's first was on X Factor, #4. She was a villain. So there she is right there on the cover, so we don't got to go inside to find her first. She's right there on the front and center on issue 4. Again, look, $2 to $10. Somebody sold a lot of 8 issues. Best offer on $28. You got 8 copies of this book. 8 copies. Yeah, it's cheap, but it's one of those ones you could find. Even copies available, $4, $3. Buy it now for 15. Yeah, sure, but you can find this for cheap. So once again, Frenzy's first is one you can go dig out of those cheap boxes and grab if you can. Now, I feel like I've talked about this next book because it did on the TAC show, I think, when we were talking about Shatterstar, because we were doing the Deadpool trailer, etc. But the character Feral, who's also front and center on that cover, old X-Force character, one of Liefeld's creations, even though she's suspiciously like Tiger or Wolfsbane with a mega-sized Wolverine haircut. But yeah, there's Feral. Even with Jim Lee doing that picture in the middle, she still has kind of a silly look. But it is what it is. It was a time. It was a time back then where this is what our superheroes all looked like. Silly, I know. But also, Rob Liefeld creation. So, New Mutants, number 99. Sunspot leaving. This is when we get Shatterstar rolling in. We get Feral rolling in. And I know Shatterstar, people like to talk about there's one picture. It's like a poster or a pinup picture inside the annual number 6 for New Mutants. But realistically, this is also Shatterstar's first appearance in the guts of this book. But it gets opened up with Feral right in the beginning, kind of here, fighting these Morlock type creatures. So there you go. Feral's first is in New Mutants 99, which used to be a very interesting book. It used to be a little bit of a pricey book way back when X-Force was a big deal and Liefeld was one of the kings of comics. But we are very far removed from those days. So as you might expect, this book with plenty of them printed, plenty of them out there. There's even second printings. I think there's a second print of this. Yeah, pretty sure there's a second print of this. I know issue 100 has a second and third, but I'm pretty sure there's a second of 99. But with that said, $3 to $6 copies are selling for. Asking price is $3, $4.85, $4.99. It's not a pricey book at all. That's today's cover price. You know, but it's another cheap first that you can probably go and dig out of a box, just for fun. Like I said, I do this to be more like a scavenger hunt. Yeah, you might find something. Maybe it hits and you get some money out of it. But that's not the only reason to go and collect comics or go digging in those boxes. Sometimes, like I said, it's just fun to hunt for things. Other times it's fun to find books to read. But with that said, and speaking of reading, let's get into what happened in the comics this week. So if you read some of this week's comics, let's see what can tie into some stuff we can go digging for. So first up, Blood Hunt is in full swing. A lot of Blood Hunt tie-ins. But Amazing Spider-Man number 49, I think this is the one-issue tie-in that the main title is going to do. And then I think there's going to be a spin-off Spider-Man series that ties into Blood Hunt. So for whatever reason, we got this one issue that just squeezed in there before we get to the anniversary 50th, and we're going to do the Goblin stuff again. So it is what it is. But inside this issue, we're dealing with vampires and somebody who's already been turned, the White Rabbit. You remember? Oh, see, here she is right there. In case you don't remember, this White Rabbit character has been around for a while. It's kind of like a sillier character. I know people might point to it. It's like Marvel's Harley Quinn, but she's been around since before Harley Quinn. She's just like an oddball little villain. But she's a vampire right now. This is already kind of a pricey book, but it's worth knowing in case you're digging out there. So keep an eye out for your Marvel Team Up number 131. So you can see here, you got the Frog and you got Spider-Man and White Rabbit there in the middle. Copies of this thing can sell for cheap and it can sell for a bit more. Look, 10 to 15 bucks might be on the cheaper side, but then some of the asking prices you find out there, yeah, it could be 10 to 20, but there are some more expensive copies if you get into those higher grades, especially with this black cover. And again, it's a character that has like a little niche, like market for it. It's like those, I don't know. It is what it is. But it's just a reminder of another book you can go out there and find. Now, I'm not really into this series too much, but I did decide to check out issue 2 of Deadpool. Just Deadpool comics really just not my thing. I would think that it would be, that the humor and all that stuff, it would be more my cup of tea. But for whatever reason, the character just never connected as far as like comics go. I don't know. I mean, I got plenty of Deadpool comics that I love the movies, but for whatever reason, just the comics just always just hit a little hollow. But front and center, you can see right there in the cover that we are getting, not just Death Grip, this newer villain in the background there, but Taskmaster is going to be helping out here in this issue. And it's not just on the cover. He's in the guts of this book. He does play a good supporting role. They go to like some convention inside this book. So there's a lot of panels, a lot of story here where we are getting the Taskmaster involved. He's right here, in case you didn't see his name and his face. But Taskmaster. Yeah, I know. You're going to say, you're not finding Taskmasters first for $1. And everybody likes to point at this. It's the book everybody wants. It's, it's right there on the cover, green. It's classic. Avengers 196. This is the book everybody wants. But lest I remind you that, arguments aside, in February of 1980, in issue 195, he appears in that. So I get it. Call it a cameo. We're going to have the Hulk 180, 181 arguments, the Amazing Spider-Man 299 versus 300 arguments, because it's that last page splash. But he's right there on that last page splash. That's Taskmaster. So appearance, whatever you want to call it, just know that this exists. And in Avengers 195, you get Taskmaster showing up for the first time. Whether you call it a cameo or not, I'm not saying anything about what should be more expensive. I'm just saying, know what's inside these books and do what you want with that information. That's all. I'm not here to try to rewrite the market on what should be more expensive. I could care less about that. The market already decides what they want to spend their money on, well without my input. I'm just showing you what's inside these books. So with 195, this does okay, but I found this before. You could find this for cheap. Yes, you can still get like 10 to 15 bucks for it. So you're not going to get rich because, first Taskmaster will get you a little bit more. It's like more 50 to Well, it used to be more back when the Black Widow movie was coming out. It was more of a hitting its hype. But right now, even so, this 14 bucks. And look, somebody's selling two of them together for $35, a direct and a newsstand. So if you like to collect both, you can get both. Also, if you like collecting those reprints coming with the toys, this one was reprinted as a toy. No, not with Taskmaster, but it was for one reason or another reprinted with Wasp. So in the Marvel Legends series here, this is what the MODOK series. This there's a couple versions of this Wasp toy, but in the back of it, you can see 195. So there is a not for resale copy of this book out there. You can go probably dig out of cheap boxes too, if you can't find the regular one. Not going to make you rich. Copy sold for 10 bucks. I mean, still a fun little find, but available copies $4 to 10 bucks. Is what it is. Like I said, I'm just passing along the information. You do with it what you please. But also in this issue, we get a little bit more Princess, which is apparently Deadpool's symbiote dog these days. Like he had it like grown inside of him, and he had these extra arms in the prior series, and then it was removed from his body, and then he kind of formed into a dog. So now Princess is kind of this giant Fenris-looking dog made of symbiote that follows him around and talks to him. Just saying. Oh, right. In case you missed it, right there. Big old red dog. But this is what we're talking about. Princess. So Princess first appeared not in the current volume of Deadpool, but the one prior, which I believe started in 2022. So it's not that long ago. You could probably find these in those half price, half off a cover sort of discount things. But technically, this with the arms coming out, that is Princess, part of Deadpool here. So you can see here, that's what we're talking about. This is the symbiote that was kind of grown inside Deadpool. First appeared in that issue 1. Again, this book, not expensive. You can find, like, there's a lot of issues 1, 2, and 3 sold for $4. So $4 got 3 issues. Asking prices 99 cents at auction. Cover price $3.99. That's what I'm saying. You can find even these books, even if they're not in a dollar bin, you can probably find them discounted, half off a cover, or wherever you might find some overstock recent books, somewhat recent books. I mean, it is 2022 after all, so it is 2 years ago. But you know what I'm saying. I don't. You know your shops better than I do, but you can still probably find this for less than cover. Is my point. Now that was issue 1. Yes, it's just the arms. Moving on through the storyline in that same series, by issue 3, he has fully embraced these extra arms, and they eventually get birthed from him. It kind of alien size kind of like pops its way out of him. But here we go. We got this creepy little alien creature hanging out with him. Right there on his shoulder. That's Princess. It's not fully formed yet. So on its own, there's Princess. Again, this was part of that same lot I told you about. I didn't see any other sales for this issue. That's why I'm pointing to it. So issues 1, 2, and 3 for $4. This is issue 3. A copy on its own, $3. So $2.99 out there. Once again, undercover, not expensive book. But by issue number 5, here we go. The whole point of this storyline was that Doc Ock was trying to bring back Cletus Cassidy, Carnage, etc. But with that, Princess kind of grows into this fully formed huge dog. And yeah, that's the Princess we have and know and love, basically showing up here. So dog, and then eventually I'm going to name you Princess. Also where Princess gets the name. So could be a key for the character if you're really into this symbiote dog. But there you go. So issue 5 is probably the one you want to look for if you want it fully formed. Because like I said, there's the name and its current form. But it's still a pretty cool cover. None have sold recently. I found one listed for basically cover price, $3.99. So actually, it is $3.99 cover. So basically listed for cover price, but maybe you can find it for cheaper. Just saying. With that said, also in this issue, at the end, we get introduced to the big bad, who's Crossbones. Hey, you guys remember Crossbones right here? Remember this guy? Rumlow, he was in the Captain America movies. First got hot for a little while there, but everybody's kind of forgotten about it. But Crossbones is always one of those villains. They always come back around. Now, we do have a bit to go through here. So I'm going to take a sip just to kind of get ready for this. Now, If you thought the princess stuff was confusing as far as first appearances go, here we go with Crossbones, who also has a pain in the ass history as far as first appearances go. Now, back in June 1989, the Bloodstone Hunt, or whatever they're calling it, part 3 of 6, Captain America. A lot of people look at this book, it's like, oh, it's first Crossbones. Why? Well, there's this one panel where there's this dude in shadow. We don't even know who it is yet, but that's him. That's him, unseen, just a silhouette and unnamed. But yeah, he's kind of hovering and lingering. But a lot of people will point to this as the first. It is a cameo. Call it whatever you want. I'm just showing you what's inside the book. Silhouetted cameo on one panel. Now, that still makes this book sell for, well, $2, $4, $9. Not expensive. Asking price is $2, $5, $7. It used to be more expensive, but these days, you might find these packaged. They'll be like, first Crossbones, this issue and the next issue, which came out also the same month in June of 1989. This is part 4, issue 360. You can even see they were double shipping at the time. It says late October. So Marvel sometimes did that where they did the double shipping back in the day. But inside this book, yes, we do get to see Crossbones. All of a few panels. Look, he's got goggles. He's looking through those goggles. Now he's not looking through those goggles. Compelling stuff. But yes, that is Crossbones. Call it a first full, some might, or is it another cameo? Whatever it might be. This book sells for about $1 to $6.50 to $8.50 at auction. Asking prices $5 to $8, $10. You know, again, pretty cheap stuff. But just know, this is what we're talking about. This is what's inside these books. So despite what somebody might call it, you know, cameo appearance of Crossbones, first full of Crossbones, whatever, that's what you're getting inside that book. Now, I think it's skipped the next issue, but in July of 1989, part 6 is when we finally actually get a little bit more of the character in the story. Hey, he pops up, he's fighting here, and I think there's one more panel beyond these 4. But he's engaging, he's talking, he's doing something more, but it's still, we're talking about, I think, about 5 panels. Like I said, I think on one more page, there's one more panel that has him in it. This is, again, our Crossbones, but you get a good look at him, etc. And he finally tells you that's his name. The name's Crossbones, darling. So we finally get to know his name by that final issue of the series. What does that make this book go for? Still nothing. $1 to $5. And we look at copies listed for $2.50 to $10. Again, not expensive, but if you're interested, there he is. Plus, he's on the cover, which I think that would be his first cover as well. But while we're at it, the real first full-on like involvement and story that's not just, you know, a few panels or whatever isn't until the next issue, and we do get him again here on the cover. Never Crossbones on 363. And yeah, again, he's in the full issue, so he's fighting Cap, finally gets his due. Not saying this is his first full or anything like that, just pointing out that you get a little bit more. So if you're looking for more Crossbones, here's another book that is also, it's cheap. Look, best offers on $2.99, $2.25, $4. Asking prices, it's $4 to $5. Not a pricey book either, but just saying, for all intents and purposes, if you want more Crossbones than just a few panels, this is probably the first issue you want to go and go dig for. Because all the other ones, they're just quickie little appearances. Just saying. With that, I think I got one more for you, which is just also new this week. We got the second issue of Shadow of the Green Goblin. And as you know, inside this storyline where you got the proto-goblin, the OG goblin, if you will, kind of like Isaiah Bradley in Truth, like the test subject Norman Osborn used before he took it himself. But here's the proto-goblin inside this issue. He's part of the story, so he's in here more than just this, but just giving you a sense of, you know, character. He's also on the cover of the variant, which is kind of cool here from Tedesco. So that's the 1 in 25. But Proto-Goblin, I think we talked about this before, first showed up way back in Peter Parker Spider-Man -1. Weird thing that Marvel did way back when in the 90s. I mean, this is, yeah, May of 1997, where they did the -1 issues. So that's when we get the story of this, Proto-Goblin here. So first appearance, whatever you want to call it, first full. He is on the cover there, as you can see. as well. But this book also cheap, but fun one when you can go dig out. Oh, $4 to $6. Available copies, $1.59, $2.99, $8. It's not expensive. But like I said, you want to go and grab some books tied into some things going on in the comics right now, take a shot. Here you go. Here's some fun stuff for you to go out and hunt. And with that all said, that's all I got for you today as I'm losing my voice here. Thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I appreciate all the support, and I will be back soon with some more content. All right, later.